둘, 셋, 파! 안녕하세요. 방탄소년단입니다.
Now you know.
Yeah.
You told me that you were going to wear a helmet if you ever go.
Yeah, if I were to go back on it, I would wear a helmet and then also need a splash guard for the kayak and probably a little bit more experience.
Well, you just got some, so.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, welcome back.
Welcome back.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Bethany, and this is Standing BTS.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome to another wonderful episode where we get to hang out for about an hour and just talk about BTS.
It's a lot of fun, and we have some great times together, but we also have a disclaimer. This is a comedy kind of fangirl podcast. We're going to fangirl like crazy. We're going to laugh about things that BTS does, but we're also going to learn a little bit along the way.
Yep, that's right. This is an explicit podcast, though, so if you aren't cool with that, you can dip out now. We won't blame you.
Totally. But if you're down for some, I don't care what I have to do. Next year, I am fucking going to muster.
Or I totally second that, but I seriously haven't a clue how to even get tickets for muster.
Me neither, but like
where? They never, do they announce it? Like where? I don't know.
Honestly, probably on like the Big Hit official Twitter, you know, like they're always tweeting out links like every single day that we never click on. I'm sure somewhere in there. But okay, so in today's episode, we are going to talk about Festa 2019. We're just going to kind of hit some of our favorite moments from some of the content that was so graciously given to us by BTS during that time. But before we get into it, we have to thank you wonderful, amazing armies for being here and for supporting us. If you are a fan of this show and you want to show your support for us, you can do that by telling people about us or by writing a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or really wherever you listen. And if you want to go above and beyond and show us extra support, you can do that by donating monthly to our Patreon at patreon.com/stanningbts.
Or if you'd like, you can make a one-time donation at paypal.me/stanningbtspodcast. Your support helps us to improve the quality of our content and to continue putting out weekly episodes. Any type of support from you guys is super appreciated. We're just glad you all are here listening.
Yes, we love you guys so much. Okay, so let's talk about our content of the week. We have actually quite a few this week. The first one, obviously, just as St. Louis natives, we need to talk about. Bethany, I feel like you should say it.
Yeah, we have to talk about how the St. Louis Blues, the NHL team, finally won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they won the Stanley Cup. Super cool.
It's just so cool because it's been like 50-something years that they've been playing and they've never won the cup. And this is what's so frustrating about the Blues, but also kind of what has made this even more incredible is that they consistently make it into the playoffs. Consistently, and they do well in like just the regular season, but they never fail to disappoint come playoff time, where they make it to like the first round, maybe the second round of playoffs, and they just choke, and they never go any farther than that.
But
however, this year was very different.
They were last place.
They were last place, and I think it's because I moved away. I do, because January, I believe it was like January 13th that the Blues like turned around. They just completely changed. They were last, and then they like got Bennington, and they got a new coach. I don't know. They like figured shit out, and then they ended up going from last place to winning the Stanley Cup. Oh man! And St. Louis has just been
crazy,
so excited, crazy. It's just one big party in St. Louis. Wish I could be there.
I don't know if you saw. There was a Facebook event going around before the last game of the Stanley Cup Finals, saying like, if the Blues win the Stanley Cup, like this is an event to go push the arch into the Missouri River, just like in excitement. So there was like people like lined up at the base of the massive arch, like pushing on it at like, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. But super, super cool that they won. And of course, as St. Louisans, we just had to share.
Yeah, and when they won, I think you had texted me content of the week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
So if this is your first episode that you're ever listening to, we do not get this off topic normally at the beginning, but we just had to share. So another content of the week, obviously, are the 2 new songs that we got in anticipation for BTS's new mobile app, BTS World, that's going to come out, I think, on the 26th. And it's like where players will get to kind of act as BTS managers. So we got 2 songs. We got Dream Glow and A Brand New Day. And wow, both of these songs are just so great and super fun and catchy, and I just love listening to them. So obviously had to talk about.
Yeah, the chorus of Dream Glow for me, and just the overall kind of sound of Dream Glow is, I just love it. I really love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Jimin's voice, man.
Can't get over.
Yeah, and then A Brand New Day. For the past couple days, I have listened to A Brand New Day on repeat to and from my commute to work. And it's just, to me, it's like a poolside song. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to be out relaxing, poolside, summertime.
For sure. The other things that happened this week is Muster, obviously, and they had 2 shows in Busan. Very cool. We saw a lot of really cool clips from those shows, and I really want to figure out how to go now, because there was definitely international fans there, and damn, it looked so amazing, and the set list was incredible because they sang like all the songs that we always want to hear, but of course they're never going to perform at like a concert, you know, like Pluto and fucking
Dimple.
Oh my God.
The choreography for Dimple.
Incredible. So sexy.
So sexy.
So, I mean, I don't know what we're talking about yet next week, but maybe it might have to be Muster, because like some of those videos just, wow.
We're also at like 293 or something reviews on iTunes, so we're getting close to a bonus episode. I know, doesn't life seem just like a roller coaster right now? To me, everything is crazy, insane. But for this week's episode, we have to talk about Festa, because there were so many things that happened for Festa, and I feel super spoiled as an ARMY, because we've gotten a lot.
I think, like, you know, when we first joined the fandom, like, we were so surprised at how much content there was, and then we kind of caught up, and we were just kind of like, you know, we were clamoring for more as we caught up on the history of them. And so it's really nice to get like a new shit every day, like totally, completely spoiled by them, because it's like, oh my God, it's everything new again.
So much content.
So much.
So what we're going to cover in this episode is, we'll first talk over our thoughts on this night or tonight, or I don't know. I've seen multiple titles for Jen's song that he released. We'll also talk about Euphoria, the piano version. We will also have fangirling moments as we touch on our top 3 favorite moments from the dance practice videos that were released. And then we'll finish up by talking about Bangtan Attic, the video that they released with all of the BTS members, like they do every year for Festa.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into This Night by Jin. So I want to start by just talking about like the sound and the vibe. Like, to me, what I thought about when I was listening is kind of like some like soft rock vibes, definitely some like pop vibes, but also some like R&B vibes with some of like the beat in the background and like the vocal melody, like the runs that he gets. But it's all blended with like some soft acoustic guitar and some piano kind of in the background. And I also want to point out that you can definitely hear some Adora in the background, just providing some like little ahs floating over the top of Jin's beautiful melody, and just love it. I noticed it, had to point it out.
It's so great how much they are bringing her vocals into BTS music now. And even songs that are composed and written by individual members. Like Jin, this was his first song that he truly wrote and did on his own. Yeah. Not completely on his own, but, you know, like it's his song. And the fact that Adora's on it, which is, great.
And she just adds so much. And anyways, to me, in general, the whole song is just beautiful. It's totally soft jams that could be played repeatedly without becoming old. And to me, it also truly sounds like it's right out of a K-drama. Like, I'm sure it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's played in the scene where like they're looking across the street at each other, like longingly. They've just said goodbye, and they like just keep. It's very like one shot of her, one shot of him, or like I'm sure this could be like inserted somewhere during the plot line of Secretary Kim. Like, right.
It has a romantic, dramatic feel to it,
and very much.
What I think contributes to that is that the build of the song is really powerful. That's my favorite thing about this song. Well, actually, there's one other thing that is like my favorite, which I'll get to. But the song, it starts off with like that acoustic guitar, like you were saying, which is very Jin style. Jin plays guitar and has learned guitar. I think that had a major factor in how this song started. But there's this smooth transition where, like you were saying, they bring more beats and kind of synthesized instruments into it. And it gives it a little bit of an edge. Like, to me, not to compare it to other songs, but like Awake and Epiphany have a lot of build and they're very emotional. But this one had that little bit of poppy edge to it. Yep. Which I thought was, I really loved that because it makes this, this song more of a, you don't have to get in your feels every time you listen to it. Like there's this ease to it too.
Something different for sure.
Yeah. But my favorite part of the song is actually the end, where his voice becomes more muffled and the instrumental softens, and it gives it a very vintage, romantic, pure atmosphere to the song, and I really do love it. And this was his first song that he's written. I'm super proud of him. I'm really glad that he did it because it's just fed us all so much. It just makes me happy that he too enjoys writing and making his own music.
Yeah, and like it's hard to do. It's hard.
Oh my gosh, so hard.
So I mean, the point that I want to make about him writing this song is he said that the song was written for his pets, and like everybody, I mean, I didn't say anything because everybody was like, oh my God, it's so sweet. He wrote this for his pets. And if that's true, like he's the only 26-year-old man to ever write a love song about his pets. Like, I'm sorry. And this is probably going to be controversial and somebody's going to be mad at me for saying it. But like, I cannot believe that like the only inspiration for this song is his pets. Like, go look at the lyrics and tell me it's about missing your pets, or like to me it really seems like it's about like somebody else, like another person, love, like a significant other, or like saying goodbye before going on tour, like spending one last night, romance, and like one last night together and living in this sad uncertainty of like when their next night together will be. And like, I just can't be like, oh, it's just about pets. Like maybe it's just me wanting it to be deeper than that, or like wanting more for him than, this beautiful song just being written about pets. But my own little thing.
Well, we want all of BTS to have love and be loved and have a significant other. because they all deserve it. And I feel that, yeah, they all love each other and they have each other, but I imagine how hard it would be to not have like someone that you love in that way. Yeah.
Dude, at the end of the day, like that's all most people want. Like, you know, you just want that one other person to share everything with, you know, to share life with. And like, you can't honestly expect these people to put that aside, like completely. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on board with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's move on to talking about the Euphoria piano version. This is a piano arrangement of the song that we already love. And this was released on YouTube as like a video that they had the song playing in the background. And then they had like compilation clips of Jungkook being shown on the, like, for the video.
This was so unexpected.
Yeah.
When they released this, I was like, what? Why is everyone loving on Jungkook right now? Just because I got on social media and I hadn't seen that it had been released. But everyone was like, are Euphoria? And like posting pictures of Jungkook. I'm like, what? You know, I got to look up hashtags or something. Like, what's going on? Like, did something happen to him? And then I saw that they had released this Euphoria piano version where all of the members collected these short little videos over the years of Jungkook, and oh man, so cute.
So like honestly, I think of like when I think of all of the vocal line intros, I listen to Euphoria the least amount, and maybe that's because it was like released so randomly. We had that weird like, is this the Wonder era? Like they changed their Twitter background to be like Wonder and gray, and they released this song and then they like moved on. And it was on Answer, but I feel like on Answer maybe it was kind of overshadowed by the trivias, or at least like for us, that's what we talked about a lot was the trivias. So just like having this other arrangement of the song come out was a nice reminder to me, like how amazing this song really is. And like the freshness of his voice in this piano version, like more broken down, reminded me about how like he sounded at the concert. So it was really nice. And like, if you guys don't get to see them in concert and you want like a song that's comparable, then listen to this version, because like it was really so close.
Yeah, the track is definitely less edited than the official Euphoria that was like released on album.
Yeah.
And that rawness, that freshness, I like how you said that. It really does give you a different feel for the Euphoria, but it's the same, that it still gives you that kind of blissful feeling when you listen. But yeah, it's somehow prettier, this version. To me, it's somehow prettier.
I don't know why, but it seems like a little bit more like relatable, like being more like broken down and more raw. It just makes him seem more real, and
Yeah,
definitely
I
pretty.
get that.
Yeah.
The difference in instrumental too, I think, I just really love the piano, and then you hear like occasional string instruments. So it's not as synthesized, not as much production that really had gone into it. It's just a little bit more simplistic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's more relatable.
Maybe. I also think it's relatable because of the video that accompanies it. Like, we talked about these clips kind of, but like, obviously, like you said, these clips were all things that were taken by the other members of BTS. And I feel like you and I spend a lot of time talking about how much Jungkook loves his youngs, because they've always been there for him, like since his childhood. But I think that this compilation video beautifully demonstrates how much his youngs love him too. And they captured all of these moments of him randomly. Like they probably didn't like think that they were ever gonna put them anywhere,
No,
they probably didn't know that they would be used for something like this. They're just like special Jungkook moments that they personally love, and then they shared it with us, which I just think is so special.
Oh, it is so special. And I don't know whose idea this was, but it was so sweet. And like I said, it was unexpected when it was released. So I would love to see what Jungkook's reaction was to seeing this compilation of him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love how during the video, there's moments where the song Euphoria softens because some of the footage has him talking or his Youngs talking, and so they'll soften the audio of Euphoria so that you can hear what they're saying to each other. And I just think that's such a cute little detail that they added to it. Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also kind of think that since he does all these GCFs, that this is almost like a thank you in return, like a we love you too.
I had not thought of that, and that's so perfect because he does these GCFs and he's very rarely showing up in the GCF himself. The subject is always somebody else, and now they made a film for him that's just all about him.
Mm-hmm.
I love that sentiment. Now I really would like to see his reaction. I wonder if he knew. Obviously, they released the Festa schedule. They knew what was going to be put out. But I wonder if he knew about the film or if he just knew about the song, The
song.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that they would have just kept the song and they wouldn't have told him. I hope it was a little surprise for him.
I hope randomly we'll get a Bangtan bomb of Jungkook reacting to this for the first time or something.
Yeah, a couple months from now. I can so see Big Hit doing that. We haven't released anything in a while, but we're too busy. Their schedules are so busy. So let's release something that happened months ago.
Totally. That's what they would do. Okay. So let's talk about the Mic Drop Remix dance practice. So they released 2 different dance practice videos during Festa, and we're going to talk about both of them briefly, but we're going to do it a little differently than we've maybe talked about things in the past. We're just going to talk about each of our top 3 favorite moments, so we can just ultra fangirl out over those 3 things.
Yes. Because you guys know that we could go for a whole 60 minutes fangirling just about the mic drop.
Just about one video.
Practice.
If we really wanted to, you guys, we could do it member by member. We could tell you seconds when things happen, but that's not what this is today. We're talking about all of Festa in one day. So, okay.
Every hip thrust, every smirk, every bead of sweat.
Right.
Way too detailed.
Too much. So for me, here's my top 3. I'm going to start with number 3. So number 3 is Taeyong with his fluffy fucking hair.
So fluffy.
I couldn't keep my eyes off of him the whole time because his fluffy hair it's very cute, but then you see the facial expressions that he's making behind it. And anyways, he looks so fucking good with this hair, and I just couldn't get over him.
He's something in this.
He's something. I'm sure you're going to have a lot more to say about
He's very present.
So my number 2 favorite moment for this dance practice video is the second dance break, Hoseok controlling the choreography. You guys know. You guys fucking know. Okay, I love when he controls the choreography. I Need You, amazing. But specifically in this video, the camera angle or whatever, we can just see that his body is so fluid, which we say all the time. It sounds stupid at this point to keep saying it, but I just was again astonished by how his body seems to wave back and forth as if he doesn't even have bones. It's so stupid. I mean, the control that he has over his body is just so precise. And even though all of the dancers or all of BTS are great dancers, and Jimin is a great dancer and Jungkook is a great dancer, I'm still damn, Hoseok is just above and beyond anybody ever because
he is.
He can do it. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And I think all of the BTS members would agree with you on that. Like he is above and beyond. He's just phenomenal. And this is one of my moments too. Should I just share it now since we're talking about it? Or should I wait?
Sure. Yeah.
This is also my second moment.
Oh, no
because because you know, how can we not talk about it? Like Hobie, especially at the second dance break when he's controlling the choreography, kind of going off what you were saying, how his body just looks so fluid, and like just the video really accentuates his movements. I think what's contributing to this is his pants compared to everyone else, except for maybe Yoongi. We got it. But hear me out. His pants are considerably tighter and more fitted than the other members. Mm-hmm. And so you can really see just, you know, his legs. I don't know how to say it.
No, yes, because like you see like his knees moving back and forth, like I mean, and his hips aren't even moving, and like his ankles aren't. It's like crazy
because of how tight. How tight the pants are. You really get to see every little detail of his legs, so that you can really see just how fine and fucking precise his movements are. It's incredible, and the detail that goes into it is it's mesmerizing and astonishing. Like he's just the best. Yeah. He's just the best. Yeah. And seeing it in this fucking mic drop remix dance practice video, I'm mad that they've kept this from us, but I'm so grateful that this came out. But yeah, Hobie at the second dance break. Wow.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. So my number one moment from this video is just Yoongi the entire fucking time, like in those tight joggers that he's wearing. Mm-hmm. He's wearing like these tan joggers, and bonus, he's also wearing a black hat. And like, you fucking know, I love Yoongi in like a black baseball hat. Like, God. So he just, these joggers, again, always have to talk about the pants. They are so tight. They're so tight. And I don't feel like he normally wears clothing that's this super fitted. Like he wears jeans that are like pretty tight, but like the way that these hug him during everything and like the power that he has during his verse, I just can't get over it. So
during his verse, Yoongi was really feeling the song. Like there wasn't a moment where his body was still. Like he was kind of just bouncing side to side anytime he could. And he had his head down and the cap over his eyes and
way too fucking
and
cool.
those joggers, those tan joggers. I'm glad that you brought them up. Joggers. Really, every BTS member in this video, all their pants distracting.
I'm distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop making me look there. Okay. So my third favorite moment of this dance practice video is not so much the video, but the actual like track that is played with them while they're dancing. So it's not like the actual track that we hear on like Love Yourself Her or Love Yourself Answer or whatever the remix is on. Yeah. But it's like more raw and like the editing is lighter. It's more pure, kind of like what they did with Euphoria. Mm-hmm. And the instrumental is like a little bit quieter. So I feel like I'm listening to the pure track that they recorded in the studio. And that was the first thing I noticed about it. I was like, wow, this sounds like they just were singing into the mic in the recording studio. And that's what they put together. Like it's not edited at all. Yeah.
And that definitely struck me too. It's probably, they probably use that when they do perform because they're running and dancing all around the stage. Or, in some cases, but definitely in a rehearsal like that, I think it's helpful probably to them to hear like, this is what we're actually going to sound like and to, hear their voices instead of hearing all the heavy instrumental.
Yeah. That's a good point. So my second favorite moment I already shared was Hobie. Of course. And then my number one favorite thing about this dance practice video, which go figure, Taeyang. But the second dance break, Taeyang coming to center at the end. So like Hobie kind of starts the second dance break by controlling the choreography, and then Taehyung is like on the far right side of the stage, but then just like so smoothly and coolly slides over to center, and like all the other members kind of spread out next to him, and he like wipes his forehead, wipes like the sweat off, like the choreo, and his movements are harsh and aggressive and fucking on point and quick and powerful, and oh my gosh, Taehyung physically hurts me in this dance practice video. And I went down to like look at the comments to see what people were saying, and everyone was like, fucking Taehyung, like what this dude,
what the fuck, dude?
He brought it. And like at the very end of the dance practice video, you can see him walk. They all like walk back to the wall. And Taehyung, I think he just put everything he had into it, that he like gets to the wall and he just like puts his arms up and leans his head up against it like he's exhausted.
The fluffy hair doesn't help either. Like he's doing all of that with fluffy hair, and
those white cream colored sweatpants. They're really bright, really bright. Taehyung's ass just screams for attention all the time.
Me.
All right, let's move on to the Spring Day dance practice video, the lovely version.
Okay, so I'll talk about my top 3 moments. My third moment is a super cute moment. It is right at the beginning of the song, Namjoon walking across the room during his lines in his super cute outfit. Like, I saw this all over social media before I ever even watched the video. I saw like fan art of people drawing him as like a little chick, because he is wearing in this video a like overalls that are very thinly striped, like vertical stripes with blue and white stripes, but so thin that it almost just looks blue. But think like Railroad Man, you know, like that style. Is that stupid? But like,
no, I
you
get
know
that.
what I'm talking about? Okay. So he's underneath these overalls. He has this white hoodie, and he has his hood up with like a yellow hat underneath. And he's also wearing these chunky tennis shoes that are like multiple different pastel colors. Very cute. And because this hood is up and the yellow cap is on, like it just looks like like a duck bill, you know, and
like a little chick.
Like a little chick. And he's just super cute, like making these super cute, like little smile with these round cheeks that are pressing up against like the hoodie that's tied tight around his face. So like his cheeks are, and like dimples are out. It's just so cute. Like, and also Jimin is like giggling at him kind of when he comes up and they go back to back, and just Minjun lives forever. Yeah.
They really do.
So my second favorite moment, or this is actually multiple moments. So in the song, Jungkook together, like one of them will sing and the other one will echo it, will sing like Bogo Shipda. So which is like I miss you, and they'll sing it back and forth. And the first time they do it, they make like various types of hearts at each other, finger hearts, like hand hearts, and it's super cute. And then the second time, they're like across the room, they're separated, and they dramatically blow kisses at each other and like catch it like it gets them right in the heart, like an arrow in their hearts. And then they like stretch out their arms towards each other and walk longingly towards each other. And I just love their energy, and I just love their relationship, and just how goofy, but also how like open they can be with each other, and just couldn't get over it.
Yeah,
in this
their
video.
humor, how they really do have fun together.
They were like hamming it up together. Like, you know, it was very cute. So anyways, my number 1 for this video is during the last I Miss You part. Jimin sings it with a response from Jin and Jungkook, and they're singing together this time. And like, to me, during this video, Jimin is pretty elusive. Like, he doesn't make a lot of like, eye contact, or like he's not trying to be particularly cute like some of the other members. Like Hobie is like over the top cute, and obviously I already talked about Namjoon. And that's surprising to me because this is the lovely version and that's kind of like his thing. However, it's like newly his thing, and this was like what, 2016, maybe 2017. But however, at the end of this video, during this last part, he kind of like does this little side glance and then smirks up at the camera and throws up this one little finger heart, and he winks at the same time, and he just looks so cute. And it's like that thing that every Jimin stan was just waiting for, and he got us all right then.
His glasses.
And his glasses.
Oh, he looks so cute.
Especially with his glasses. Yeah, he had like these thick, round black glasses, which were very cute. And they like, I don't know, they really made his like nose look very cute, and like his lips really pop.
Plump.
So, yeah, plump. Anyways, those are my moments.
Yeah, all really great moments. This one was hard because they're not being super serious about it. I mean, obviously they're doing it, but they're having fun. So everything is just, you just love it all. Yeah, when they're being goofy and silly with each other. But my third favorite moment, this is really unusual and strange for me, I feel like, is the part where Yoongi and Jimin are sitting across from each other. And it's during like Yoongi's verse, and Jimin is kind of like singing, like echoing what he's rapping, only singing it. But for some reason, this part really hit me. The interaction is like kind of sexy and just, I don't know, interesting. I really like it. So Jimin, he kind of desperately reaches out and like almost angrily grabs at Yoongi's shirt. And you can see him tugging on it, like he's got a full grip of his shirt in his hand. And Yoongi just looks so laid back and relaxed about it. And he kind of shakes his head like he always does, that little Yoongi head shake. And he then looks over at the camera and damn, Yoongi! He's got this like smudgy eyeliner on, and he looks way too fucking hot. And because he's got the bad boy vibe going on, but I don't know if it's the smudginess of the eyeliner, but he looks soft at the same time. Yeah. And this whole interaction, I really liked it.
I'm so glad that you brought up this moment because I really wanted to talk about it, but I only had 3 moments to talk about. And I just love the way that Jimin grabbed his shirt. I feel like that was unexpected, and they're just both very hot in different ways, and it's a great little Yoonmin interaction right there. You're right, very unlike you.
Yeah.
To like be like, wow, that really grabs you.
Yeah. It was kind of hot, but like special.
Yeah.
Yoongi, fuck. Okay. My second favorite moment is just Hobie throughout. Can I say that? Because
you can say that.
He's just being this cute little bean sprout, like dancing and wiggling around with like all the members circling around him. He just looks like a little, I don't know, jolly elf.
Yes.
maybe it's the way that he's wearing his beanie, which I love how he wears his beanies, where the tips of his ears fold over beneath like the band of the beanie. Oh, so cute. So cute. Our
so
hope.
Cute. I'm just like overwhelmed just with that mental image in my mind, because I had not thought about what beanies do to his ears in a while, and it's just so cute. Like it's so
really cute.
God. Okay.
All right. My last and favorite moment is the Taejin interaction. Of course, sucker for Taejin lately, but it's the part where Taeyoung falls to the ground. And then Jin comes over to like help him get up. But Jin actually, when he comes over, he just falls on top of Taeyoung. Like he puts his hands on Taeyoung's chest and like forcefully like pushes Taeyoung further into the floor. And like but you know, you can hear some things throughout the video that's not just the music. But this one you can quite clearly hear Taehyung like grunt beneath the weight of Jin. And it's just cute because you can see that it's super playful, and just Taehyung, I think he felt really loved in that moment, even though Jin was shoving him to the floor.
Yeah, I knew that you were gonna pick this part because
I know.
But I love it too. Like it's so them. It's so Taejin. Like again, being goofy and playful, and it's just super cute.
The other thing that's really cute about it is the way that the camera is angled. You can see Jimin and Jungkook purposefully like turn around because they want to see what's going to happen, because they know something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
All
Okay.
right, yeah.
So.
Let's move on to the last part of Festa that was released, at least that we know of, was the Bangtan Attic. It was kind of done in play of the usual dinner party that they do for Festa, but it was a little different than what they normally do.
Yeah, I feel like they don't normally do like something with an attic title. It's normally like dinner party and they sit around and it's a little different, but it's still like the same kind of
Concept.
general format. Like in this video, they sit around and they talk, that they pull questions out of a basket to kind of guide what they talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this kind of like scene that they were all in, where they were and what they were doing, they were all sitting on the floor and they looked really cozy, and they were sitting around like kind of like a coffee table like thing, and they had snacks and drinks and everything. But they had a dress code, which was they had to wear purple and yellow, which is kind of how they started it off. They went around talking about how their outfits and whatever, but also they had soda that was, I don't know if it was soda, but it was a drink that was orange and then a drink that was purple.
Yeah.
And what's so funny is that Jungkook right at the beginning like held it up like, no booze, no booze this time.
I know. I thought that was so funny that was coming from Jungkook.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, no, we don't have anything to drink. We have juice.
But just before we went in to record this, Kayla and I, we were talking about how there was this yellow and purple dress code. And the purple is, to me, obvious, and I think to all of us, because, you know, purple, Borhe, you know, purple you. It's just kind of an ARMY BTS thing. But
obviously, yeah.
The yellow, I was like, I wonder why they chose yellow. And then I thought, well, purple and yellow are complementary colors. I have no idea if that's the reason why they chose yellow.
And then I just exploded with overwhelm. Like, I was overwhelmed with how cute that concept is and how how could it be anything else? And I just think that is just the fucking best thing ever and super cute, and you know, just something that the producers are like, we're purple and yellow, complementary colors. And it's, you know, I just love the idea that it's yellow is BTS and purple is ARMY, complementary. God, emo. Okay.
Well, anyways, we're going to go through some questions and responses from this Bangtan Attic that particularly spoke to us, and then I think spoke to a lot of ARMY. That was just interesting to hear some of the members' thoughts.
Yeah. So the first question that we're going to talk about is, what emotion are you feeling these days and why? And Yoongi kind of starts off by saying that he's trying to be less emotional, so he doesn't feel as happy or as sad. So he's trying to just like keep his cool.
Finding like a medium.
Right.
Instead of being so extreme, which I totally relate with this because I feel like my emotions can be very extreme. And then Taehyung says he's the exact opposite of Yoongi. He says, and like we just love the wording that he uses here, but he says, quote, "I've been very open with my emotions. As if there is an overload, I'm happy and sad in the utmost way." And after this,
love this. I where you say that you can relate to like wanting to be how Yoongi is, I want to be how Taehyung is feeling, because like I feel like I can be very zen with my emotions, or like, you know, nothing really affects me too much, but I would love to feel an overload, you know, like as he's experiencing.
Yeah. But what's cute about this is Taehyung then motions over towards Namjoon and says that he taught him how to be honest with his emotions, which I feel is such a thing Namjoon would do. Like he advised him to be like, hey, don't deny your emotions, be true to them and feel them and experience them. And then Yoongi smiles and he's like, sometimes like Taehyung is a bit too honest. He's maybe a little bit too truthful. And Taehyung agrees and he's like, he just says, I'm happy. I'll tell you how much I love you. And then when I'm sad, I'll say how much I'm feeling blue.
I just love that.
It's honest.
It's honest, yeah. I just feel like throughout this, like all of the conversation that we're going to be talking about through any of these questions, I think just shows like the honesty that they have between each other and also just how real they are with each other. And I'm super enjoy it. So after this little interaction, Hobie chimes in and he's just like, this is how it is for me. And he says he's been thinking a lot about the future. And I just think it's so funny. Jungkook interrupts and he's like, what about what to name your kids? And Hobie's like, he's not phased. He's like, he's serious in the moment. He's like about to make a statement. And he's like, oh no, I haven't gotten that far yet. And he's kind of like wringing his hands. And Namjoon is like kind of being a little shit. Like Namjoon is like comedic relief during this. And he leans over to Jungkook and says that he's actually he's already picked them all out. What are they? And Hobie, like, he's not like he's like in the moment. He's like, no, really, haven't gotten that far yet. He gets right back to his original point and he says, when he's thinking about the future, he doesn't get depressed, but, quote, I hope for things to work out well so we can do well at the end, presumably like at the end of Bangtan.
BTS,
Yeah. And he says he doesn't feel nervous or anxious, but those thoughts do cross his mind. So that's how he's feeling right now. Just thinking about the future and thinking about like where they're going to go. And I just feel like a lot of us can feel that way. Like we're unsure they're going to they're going to have to do their military service soon. And like, even though we know that they're under contract for like 7 more years, like, you just never know. So we're,
hearing that they almost ended, that they almost disbanded, that really put into ARMY's reality, like, hey, they aren't going to be together forever.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. So I think, the fact that J-Hope brought this up, I think it was like really moving for all of us, just hearing the truth that he feels, he thinks about the end or he's thought about it.
And I think obviously they probably all have, but this just kind of gives us that
But for him to outwardly
insight.
say it.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think it's important to be like, he doesn't get depressed about it. Like, I don't think that, obviously we're going to be sad when this all ends someday, but just like he said, like, I hope that it just ends in the best way. Like when BTS goes out, they're going to go out on top and people are going to talk about them forever. Yeah. Like that would be ideal,
Yeah. Namjoon, he says that these days he's living presently and telling himself that he's happy in the moment. He says once or twice a year when Hobie will compliment his moves while doing choreography, he tells himself that he's happy despite the hard dance. He said, quote, it used to feel like pretending to be happy at first, but now I feel comfortable. And Taehyung says, now you're truly happy. And then Namjoon responds to him, like how saying I love you became natural too. I think this just really shows that there was a time and has been times where he felt the need to fake it or pretend to be happy and everything's okay. But now he feels comfortable. I love that he feels comfortable.
This just made me think of Mono when he said this, because he said that whole year when he was writing Mono, that's how he felt. And like, just like listening to Mono is a catharsis, like can act as catharsis for us as the audience, I think that creating it was catharsis for him and, you know, putting that out. And I feel like once he put it out, he could kind of let those things go. And now I really can see him like feeling like he's found like things to make him truly happy.
Yeah. So after Namjoon said that he feels more natural saying "I love you," Jimin off to the side says "RM, 사랑해," like "I love you," and he throws these like Korean finger hearts, and RM throws finger hearts back. But of course, Hobie has to point out that RM didn't say it out loud. So then RM vocalizes, "I love you," like back to Jimin. And then Jimin like blushes. It's really, the interaction is cute.
Yeah. And just like coming off of that interaction before going into the next question, Hobie just kind of looks around the group and he says, "When I hear you guys say that, all my worries disappear." And this really stuck out to me because, like, I mean, as we'll talk about, like, the whole time during this video and by the end, like, we just feel like Hobie has so many really special moments and, like, appreciate Hoseok moments. But this is just, like, one of the first ones that we can just see how happy and, like, proud he is of them and, you know, how they are and where they are. And when he says this, he ends his gaze looking right at Namjoon. And so I just have to have a little side note. Like, I really need to point out this Namseok thing that's going on throughout the entire video. Like, Namjoon and Hoseok are continually looking at the other person, like in the direction of them when they're talking. Even if they're speaking generally, like they'll always end up looking at them, which I think is like one of those kind of signs of being close to somebody. And they smile back and forth at each other throughout this whole long, like hour-long video. And you can just really tell that they just feel so happy and so proud. And it just makes me think about their friendship that we talked about in the Namseok episode. And they just really, truly, like, it's obvious that they're just these best friends, like both of whom at this point we can both understand they've become such a huge role in the advancement of the group.
Yeah, I think them looking at each other is like a knowing look too. Like whenever the members say something, it's like they look at each other like they know what they're both thinking. They're both, you know, probably having similar thoughts, or at least have maybe talked about something that one of the members said prior to even this being, you know, brought up, because they've probably talked about some of these things before this whole Attic Bangtan thing that they had put out. Yeah. So the next question that they had was, how are you different than BTS? So for example, like Kim Namjoon versus RM, Taeyang versus V, J-Hope versus, you know, Jung Hoseok. Right. So right off the bat, Namjoon is like, okay, so this deals with our persona. And I have to add that, like, you can see Yoongi over to the side, like, nodding, like, yep,
Yoongi, just another side note, Yoongi this whole time, he's kind of like leaning back into the wall and he's tipping his head back just a little bit so it can rest against the wall, and it just makes him look so fucking like cool and chill, and
he's into it.
He's into it, though. He's
so
like totally
into
the conversation. Super talkative. We're about to talk about things that he's going to say. Yeah.
But with this question, Jungkook goes first. So Jungkook versus Jeon Jungkook. So he goes first. And Jungkook, he says, Jungkook of BTS shines bright, but Jeon Jungkook is insignificant. And like, all the other members like instantly chime in, like, what, why? Like, why are you insignificant? Like, what are you talking about? And he explains that he wasn't a good student and that he thinks he's slower than others.
So, like, at this point, Dad Yoongi immediately says, yeah, but the concept of studying has changed now. Watching and making videos is also considered studying. And then Dad Namjoon adds on, not just studying with books in school. And Yoongi continues, studying with only books is in the past. And Jimin adds on, Jungkook, we're learning about life. And then all the other members like chime in and they're like, yes, that's right. And then he says it again. And he says that's what they're doing as BTS, is learning about life. And I just love this little moment of looking at different ways that we can study and become educated about a topic and become knowledgeable. Because, it's not just reading books. Like, reading is very, very important. Literacy is incredibly important. But, like, you can also learn how to do something by watching a video and then by actually doing it. Like, a lot of what education is going towards right now is how we can do applicable, real things in the classroom where you are actually doing what you would be asked to do with this content anyways, like making
applying
it real world, applying it. I mean, and it sounds so simple, but that's not how it used to be in a middle school or a high school environment. It would be just rote memorization. And so I just love that they know that this is true, and they immediately come to Jungkook to like comfort him about this and be like, no, like,
it wasn't like they were just talking to him too. It was like they were speaking for everyone, for people who feel similar to Jungkook, because there are people who feel this way, just not feeling very driven to read books or to study or whatever. Just having a different way of, I don't know,
absorbing information. Yeah. Totally. So I just love that moment. And then Namjoon actually skips talking about himself. They're kind of done talking about Jungkook at that time. But he's like, I already talked about who I think I am in persona in my lyrics. So anyways, he's like, I just want to hear about the other members.
Go listen to Persona.
Go listen to Persona. So they went on to Kim Seok-jin versus Jin. And he says, Jin always tries to be cheerful on camera, like making jokes they gave as an example. And he said, I don't want to show my dark side. And many people in like life who meet him tell him that he's different than what he appears to be as Jin. But like, I don't think that he like dislikes. I mean, obviously I just think he's talking about like these different personas, but I don't necessarily think he's hitting on which persona he feels like is more him or more natural at this point. Because he says Kim Seok-jin should evolve, and then him, Yoongi, and Jimin all yell, Kim Seok-jin, evolve. And then Jin, he's so cute. I feel like he seems shy in this moment for some reason, but he just says, evolve to the ultra level. But he's kind of doing it as he's like, his hands are kind of wrapped around his knees and he's kind of like rocking back and like, that this is the end of his speaking kind of. And it's very cute. And I just feel like
bashful.
I think he just gets a lot of confidence from Jin, Yeah. And that's maybe not something that he maybe has like this extroverted, like super hype confidence that we kind of talk about that he has a lot.
Yeah. I think we'll get more into it like as they get to another question, because this kind of goes on to, this kind of becomes a thing, this like confidence that Jin has developed.
Yeah, for sure.
So when it gets to Taeyang, he says that he doesn't think he's really any different. Kim Taeyang versus V, that they're both the same. And Hobie says, you're the same. And then they move on to Jimin. Which is kind of comforting to know that Taeyang presents himself as he is and doesn't really...
I was going to say, as a Taeyang stan, or even just as a fan of BTS, it's nice that, the things that we kind of see about him, we can be like, that's real. That's 100. That's just Taeyang.
Yeah. I think Taeyang has this natural, honest personality, and that he's been raised that way since he was young. And I think that when he comes to be V versus Kim Taeyang, I think it's just himself. He just can't act a different, which is strange because he's like really
Also,
good at
why would
acting
he
and
need
stuff.
to?
But yeah, like I think his personality is already so large and booming and charming that, he wouldn't need to be any different or feel the need to be any different.
Which I also think that we'll expand on in the next question. Yeah.
So when it gets to Jimin, Park Jimin versus Jimin, he thinks that he's very different, that Jimin of BTS tends to be assertive and very confident. What always troubles him is whether Park Jimin and Jimin of BTS should be more alike or different, and that it's always on his mind. He doesn't know whether to separate it or whether them to be more the same. And Namjoon, I love that Namjoon adds on here because I think Namjoon totally gets what he means when he says this. And Namjoon says he doesn't think that there is an answer to that question, which I think the whole who the hell am I? There's not an answer to that question. There's just too many things that go into it. You're all of it, a combination of it. And so he does add that given the nature of BTS, it's become harder to differentiate because they pour themselves into their work, into BTS, and Jimin agrees with that. And then at this time, Jungkook adds that he thinks that he's living as Jungkook of BTS and not as Jeon Jungkook.
Which I think is interesting. I mean, because Jungkook was so young, 15, and that's, you don't know who you are at 15. You're barely, you're barely a teenager. You still have a lot of childlike tendencies and definitely like not full brain development or even close to that. Like you still have a lot of adolescence to go through. And so I think that it would be natural for him to feel like this is just me. Like I'm just Jungkook of BTS. Like he doesn't feel like he has another persona because he didn't have that like a teenaged kind of persona developed before he joined BTS, you know?
Yeah. I always go to like psychology and all these different like stages I've heard about, but like it's really the stage of like identity crisis. And in that stage he was given this identity. He was given this, maknae of BTS. Like he's their little gem, and so he's become this like really hard working, talented young man, and this is like he has become Jungkook of BTS, and that is a diamond. But you get what I'm saying? Like this is, this is how he identifies himself, and that he had never really identified himself or thought about identifying himself prior to BTS.
Right, totally.
Because he was so young.
So then they move on to Jung Ho-seok versus J-Hope, and he kind of gets a little bit more like philosophical with this. He says that he thinks, we can't always be the same. Like obviously over time, you're going to change, like whatever different personas you have in different situations, those are going to evolve over time regardless. It's just growth. But he thinks that his stage name has made him who he is. And Yoongi kind of adds, like talking about hope makes you hopeful. And he goes on to talk about that this like hope name has also made him feel pressure to always feel hopeful. And people like other members or like the staff are always really concerned if he kind of tires and if he loses his energy. And, so this makes it hard for him to feel like, he always feels like he has to be on all the time because he doesn't want to concern anybody else, or he feels like he's taken on this role to be hopeful. So that's what he feels like he always has to do. But Namjoon says that they'll like work harder for him, to cover for him, to bring up the excitement when he's down. And, at this time, Yoongi comes back in with some more wisdom, and he says, he doesn't remember Hobie being such a hopeful guy. And right now I'm kind of thinking about like pre-debut, you know, the underground rap scene that they were all hanging out in, and, you know, just like that style that they all had. And he says that he used to worry about himself all the time. And I kind of took that as being like self-conscious or maybe worried about what others were going to think.
Yeah.
But he said that he agrees that, you know, we can't always be the same. And he says fake love was about that. It was about hiding behind these masks. And I just love, like, this is now like the second time that and only the second time that we've mentioned that they've talked about like their music and how what they're going through is affecting their music. Like Namjoon says they pour everything into it, and like then Yoongi is like, what the changes that we go through is what fake love is about. Like, people might say that it's two-faced of them to have like a different persona on stage and off stage, but it's just like normal people. And he's like, we don't have to worry about if we behave one way to someone and then a different way to someone else. Like, all we have to say is we can be the same and then we can be different. And like, that's the same with growth. Like, you can be one way and then you can grow and change and you can be different. And I think we should be allowed to do that. We don't have to be, you know, trapped in this box of one thing forever. And that's really the point that they're making.
Yeah. It would be unrealistic. And I think you would be unhappy if you felt that you had to be this one thing, or that you couldn't change, or, you know, express yourself in different ways. Yeah. All right. So the next question was, how have you changed since debut? This one is so interesting to me, and I loved this question. So many members, they claim that they've become more normal, caring, or more themselves. Yoongi said that he used to be very energetic on camera and then very quiet off camera, and now he's found just this middle ground, that he can be both in front of the camera and off camera, energetic or just quiet. And then Jungkook, he has grown into an adult, and the members reflect on like how cool it has been to be able to see who he has become. And it was hard for Jungkook at times, and they emphasize with that because he was just so young. Like Hobie says, Jungkook was the youngest and we were all young. They just kind of talked about how he has a bigger heart now, that he just, you know, he loves all of the members so much, and that he's grown to be, I think, maybe this more accepting, loving person.
Yeah, I think that like this is one of those little comments, like Jungkook was the youngest and we were all young, that I think probably now that they're older and they're all in their 20s, they have traveled the world together, I think they can retrospectively look back and be like, wow, we were all so young. We had no idea what we were really getting into or what we were preparing for and getting ready for. And I just think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So Namjoon, they say that he used to stress and carry the weight of the group solely on his shoulders. And this is Jungkook talking about him, and Jungkook is like, I can tell how hard it was for him. But they all kind of talk about that through traveling and collecting and finding things that make him happy, he's been able to let go of some of that and be more relaxed. And honestly, I also just feel like it's the rest of the members that help him feel like they can fill in too, and that it doesn't just have to be all on him. And like, I feel like Hosaka's a big role in that, and just like kind of alleviating some of that.
I think also just with growth and development and being the leader, Namjoon has grown to find that him stressing or being anxious about all this other stuff, or feeling the stress of being the leader, that, you know, he doesn't have to feel that much stress. Like, he doesn't have to feel like he's taking on this on his own. He has his members, and that he doesn't have to constantly be, you know, managing and thinking about everyone else and all this. So I think he's just grown to mature, and the role of being the leader he's become more comfortable with.
Well, also, like, they've been doing this for 6 years now, so they're professionals. I think, like, they need less managing, and they just need, you know, like, to maintain. And so they don't need a ton of direction like they maybe used to before they had as much experience as they do now. So I want to talk about Jin's part, because his part was very interesting to me. I think they ended up talking about a lot of things that you and I have kind of like speculated about, but I don't feel like we've actually ever had like a primary source that said anything like this. But they end up saying that Jin was given this quiet type persona at like the beginning of BTS. And it wasn't until the Fire era that he was able to kind of like show more of himself. And they say that he had to kind of lock away who he was at the beginning. But since having more freedom over it, he's become more natural. And that just makes me think about like anytime that Jin is like defiant towards Big Hit, I feel like, you know, like that was a big deal for him, trying to be somebody that he's just not. And like when we talked about in his episode, like the Jin episode, and we were just blown away by how far he's come, and we just fell in love with how much he's been able to show his true self, like in his fashion or in like his behavior or whatever. And that's something that like we really fell in love with him for. And to think that had to be hidden away at the beginning.
I feel terrible.
Sucks.
I feel so like that just is so crappy that he had to do that at the beginning, and just he had to hide himself. He had to hide his true self and be someone he wasn't, because of what the company wanted to depict him as. So thank God for Fire. So according to Jin, Taehyung used to be very difficult to live with because he would only think about himself and doing what makes himself happy. Which, when Jin said that Taehyung was difficult to live with, I was not shocked by this statement at all, because I feel that Taehyung does have such a big, bold personality, and there's nothing you can really do to change it. Like, he is just the way he is, and nothing you say will like make him be different. You know, he just kind of is who he is. He's so true and pure, and I just don't think he knows any other way to be. You know, so
they say in this video that he's somebody says, I think Namjoon says that he's free spirited. Just totally Taehyung.
He just is the way he is, you know, and you just can't change it. But I can see that it would be frustrating. So they say that he was very unique in that way, and that through talking with him, he changed kind of that aspect of himself. You know, maybe that part of him where he was maybe being selfish, only wanting to do what makes him happy, or only thinking about himself. Right. And Jin thinks that Taehyung has had the most positive changes. Not that he was bad before, that he was just free-spirited. And Namjoon, I believe, is the one who said that. And that it was just difficult at times in a group setting. And Namjoon, of course, does point out, which he's brought this up before, is that Taehyung's unique personality and his charm is what drew people into BTS, and that it made for really great shows. And then Taehyung,
it's so true.
Yeah, it is true. He has a charm to
Dope,
him.
The first time you showed me Dope, I thought Taehyung was my bias, because he's the one who like drew me in. He's the one who I was like, okay, let's watch another video. Yeah,
very charismatic in a very different, unique way. Yeah, he's enticing. But he adds that what has made him happy has changed. He used to be happy if things were great for him. Now he's happy if all 7 members of BTS are happy together. That's what makes him truly happy. He's so cute. So he says that making that change made him who he is today. And he adds that seeing the good in things can also make you happier.
Which is true. I love that he said seeing the 7 members of BTS, that they are happy together and not just seeing that they're all happy. I just love that he said it in that way. He wants everybody to be together and also be happy together. So this is Taeyoung talking about Jimin, and he says that Jimin used to be very sensitive, and this sensitivity was kind of like rooted in anxiety and a lack of self-expression. He would have a short temper, and actually before debut, Taeyoung and Jungkook like came and had a talk with Jimin about like his temper, his short fuse, and they just talked about that at this time, I mean, even up through like the War of Hormone and Danger era, that he just didn't have any songs to express himself. And Taeyoung, I mean, which makes me feel terrible, because how many times have like I just praised like Danger era Jimin and that bad boy Jimin, but like that is so not him at all. And like,
but you've said that you think that he feels so much more comfortable, that this Jimin that we see now is the Jimin that he is most comfortable with. Whereas back with that bad boy, even though I love that bad boy Jimin, that youthful bad boy Jimin, but yeah, it wasn't him.
It wasn't him. And I mean, you know, when I fell in love with Jimin was like when I saw him in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And I feel like even that is more close to what he's like today and like how he wants to express himself. And so, but I love that and what you just said, like Taeyoung did say that he feels, you know, that he has a lot of music to express himself now. He feels a lot more comfortable. And the Jimin that is today is like the one that he wants to be. But they kind of talked about that he used to have this short temper and he used to be very sensitive. And Yoongi actually says that he thinks Jimin is the one who has softened up the most about all of them, which was really surprising to me, because I just really didn't see Jimin as this like hardcore on the on the outside, like this rough exterior. And I mean, another thing that I just feel relatable to him. God, anyways. But Yoongi says, we used to be sharp like swords, but we have now become blunt. And he also, during this conversation, which we didn't talk about it, but they have like this big long thing. And he says that a counselor, once told them, in a situation, the way you can react is just like, well, it happens. And you just have to take it. And that bit of it happens wisdom is great. I also love a quote that he said during this time. He said, I used to think people are very similar, but I was terribly mistaken. And I don't know why this struck me so much, but I just think it's kind of beautiful. Like, we're not similar. I mean, as much as people want to say, like, look at all that we have in common, and it's true. Like, we all want to find connection, but like, it's okay to be like, we're all very different at the same time, and to celebrate all of the differences and uniqueness that we have as an individual. And to me, that's kind of what he's saying, because he's probably sitting looking around at all of them and being like, we're all so fucking different. Like in every way.
Very, very different. But that's what makes them so great. And I was surprised that he had said that he used to think that we're all the same. But because to me, I've never really, when I think of like me with other people, when I look at other people, I really see the differences more than I see similarities, which maybe is a bad thing. I don't know, but I find other
different
people,
worldviews.
I find other people interesting because of their differences, and I admire it more when I look at it, and I'm interested.
Yeah.
So lastly, J-Hope. Jung Ho-sak, Hobie. Jimin says that Hobie has become much more awesome, like a bigger mountain, but he's actually the same, and that he's the same nice and awesome guy and good as he always has been. And Namjoon says he's always kept the group steady, and Jungkook adds that he's kept them stable, which I agree with all of this, because when I look at at Hobie, I think his personality, he's able to just, I think, find common ground with almost everyone in the group. You know, he's able to relate to them in one way or another, or has this very understanding personality, which I think is what keeps the group stable and steady.
Yeah.
Because he's someone that everyone feels they could go to and talk to. He doesn't.
And everybody, I mean, everybody feels like they're being listened to, and you know that he cares about them, and I think it's true.
Yeah, I just can't see him. He just seems so free and laid back, and I don't think he would cause much turbulence. Yeah. June continues. He says that Yoongi and I are always talking, but J-Hope listens and shares his thoughts at the end. And I love that, because even during this Attic Bangtan, we see him sitting back and he's just kind of taking it all in.
Yeah.
They also point out that he's not judgmental in his facial expressions while listening. They say he's the strongest guy.
Such high words of praise for him. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Overall, they take things easier, and they all have softened up. Yoongi's words.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one that we're going to talk about is, what does BTS mean to me? And so I'm just going to give you guys like a summation of what they all collectively said. BTS is where they can feel vulnerable and supported. BTS is strength and motivation to keep trying. BTS is personal growth. BTS is my 20s, the brightest time of my life. Also wondering if there will ever be a time as good as this. BTS is who I am inside, and BTS is an education in and of itself, and they feel like they have their own small society that they'll have for the rest of their lives. And I feel like we as ARMY can personally relate to a lot of those things for what BTS also kind of means to us. Yeah.
I thought that BTS is an education was very different and an unexpected answer, but that it was kind of like that this has been more schooling for them.
Yeah.
That this is like beyond high school, beyond university.
Yeah.
And Taeyang, he ends up saying, I personally believe that BTS, not individual members, but the team as a whole, is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity from God. And the members, when he says this, they kind of tease him, saying that he doesn't have a religion, and here he is bringing up God. They ask that if he's been watching too much anime, which probably yes. But he persists. He continues to explain himself. He says if he wouldn't have taken this opportunity with BTS, he would not be as happy as he is now. And through all of the joking around about this statement, in the end, they all kind of mumble an agreement. In their humble BTS way, they're able to accept this statement that like this opportunity is really once in a lifetime, and seems, that it's been given. It's so unreal, and that it's so rare and doesn't happen, and that it really is a special, special thing, that it's an opportunity from God.
Which I just love that Taeyang said this, because I feel like this is something that you and I have said and talked about, not necessarily in the same words or like in the same way, but like we've definitely talked about that BTS is like once in a lifetime. Like a group like this and music that they make and what they do is a once in a lifetime experience. To be a fan of something like this and to be part of something like this is once in a lifetime. And
it's rare, very rare. Super
rare. And we talk about, we feel so blessed to like know BTS and to love BTS. And we talk about them in that way. And so I just love that this is how Taeyang is relating it and kind of thinking about it like some powers that be had to have given them this opportunity, because it just still probably seems so surreal to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always think, how did 7 of these most wonderful, amazing men end up being like in the same country and brought together and all be so, talented and such great performers and such great personalities. And it's Beatles shit, it's like that. Like, I can't explain it any other way.
Yeah.
It is like, how did this come to be? It has to be some sort of greater power, that it just seems that there's no other way to explain it. Yeah. Yeah. But I think they all understand that that's what Taeyong's trying to get across.
Yeah. And this is how I was feeling at the end of watching this Bangtan Attic video. Like, wow, I'm so glad that they're all together. And like, I just can't believe over, since 2013, since debut, like the men that they've become and grown into, and just how we'll get to see them grow and change and succeed in the future. I'm so excited.
Yeah. All right. That was great.
Okay.
Festa.
So if you enjoyed this episode, or if you've enjoyed any of our previous episodes, there's a few things you can do to let us know. Again, you can write a review, and you can also let people know about us. And we just want to thank you guys so much for all of the kind reviews that we've gotten so far. When we get to 300, we'll do a bonus episode. You guys will get to pick the topic. Let us know what you thought about all of the Festa stuff. Let us know if we missed any parts in the videos that you loved. We'd love to hear what you fangirled over. You can reach out to us via email or social media, and you can find links for all of those things in the description.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for standing BTS.